recording now?
Now we are.
Awesome. Hey everybody, welcome back to Drafty Toons, the Drafty Quarters production anime animation podcast. This week, we're doing yet another installment of Love, Death, and Robots, the Netflix original series. And this time, I have with me
Sara.
And
Russell.
Nice.
Helping hand.
Well, that was Helping Hand, one of Sarah's favorite episodes.
Helping hand. Get it?
Yeah,
Get it?
sure do.
Okay.
They even end on, hey, do you still need a hand?
Yeah.
Yeah. Funny you should ask.
What is it?
The sound of one hand clapping. Okay.
So, I actually like this episode, even though before we recorded, we just had this whole big physics breakdown of why this episode wouldn't work.
My brain hurts, guys.
With Shane, who's here watching with us.
I was expecting a call out from Shane.
Oh, sorry. Cory was, right, but I was also right.
Yeah.
Moral of the story, everybody was right, and we're all still friends.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to say, Cory was right, but I was righter.
I was writer. Yeah, I was expecting that too.
Trying to be egalitarian here.
My brain is pudding.
Yeah, which actually led to me crossing off one of my notes in that I had this was a realistic depiction of space physics, and we've since come to the agreement that it's kind of,
All
but
fucked
ultimately not really.
Yeah.
The concepts apply, but the actual way it would work out would not be quite so.
So do we want to run down that real quick, or do we want to talk about the stuff we liked?
A quick summary of it was that she wouldn't have actually moved as fast and as far from throwing her hand, and there would have been a lot of other issues with having her oxygen tanks fucked up.
Yep. And her hand wouldn't have frozen that
As
quick,
quickly
and it wouldn't have frozen
in
that
that
way.
manner. That's the basic breakdown of our discussion we had.
So what I like about this episode
Hit me.
is everything else. I like her reaction. I like the animation on the character's face. I feel like you can really feel the genuine fear.
I like the animation of the whole episode. It's so realistic looking that there's moments in this where it's like, wait, is this still animated? Because there's the satellite looked real, the way they get the cloth all looks really, really good.
Yeah.
All the textures are just on point.
Yeah. And I like the story that it tells. I especially like that it has one. So
you're gonna just ride that train all night long, aren't
oh
you?
yeah, choo choo baby. So she's just trying to survive. It's a story of survival, right? And she's willing to do whatever she needs to do to
lengths
survive.
she'll go to survive.
Yeah, take a fucking arm. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I'm surviving.
Yeah. Which at first, she panics, as one would.
Yeah.
And then she just kind of ultimately goes into an acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then she's like, "Oh shit!"
And then she
two
has the
of
moment
these.
of realization, well, fuck it, I'm gonna make it out of this.
Yeah.
No matter what. Which I really like that aspect in shows in general, where people just well, this is my fate, and then they eventually have the realization of oh no, here's what I can do to survive at a great cost.
Yeah. Thor in Endgame.
Ultimately, they have the realization of fuck it, I gotta do something. This is what I'm gonna do to survive.
Yeah.
He just lost a 6-pack. That's not that big of a deal.
Well, he dipped into a real deep, dark depression.
That's true.
He had some shit happen to him, and
You're right.
then he kind of wrecked everything himself.
Yeah.
Or including himself, and then stopped leading his people, and
He didn't check himself before he wrecked himself.
yeah, and then he's seen a chance for redemption.
Yeah.
So he went for it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We're all just trying to survive.
Also
Sometimes it
another
requires the loss of an arm.
movie. Yeah, that was real fucked up. I remember, so this was Sarah's introduction episode to the series, and that was because she was in the other room doing hair.
All I heard was, "Oh God, no! Oh God, no!" And I was like, "What the hell are you watching?"
Because it was like, at first, like the first time I watched this, I had all the emotions because it's like as soon as she got separated from the satellite, I'm like, oh well, she's fucked.
Yeah.
And then, and then she like takes the glove off, and I'm like, oh, that's fucking genius. And then it doesn't work, and I'm like, oh well, she's fucked.
It almost works, and that's what kills me. Is
Yeah.
she's so close.
Yeah, and she just
So
misses
close.
it.
Yeah.
And like slips
Like
off
touches
of
it and
yeah.
then just fat fingers it and
Ugh.
can't hold on to it.
Yeah, that's rough.
I would have also liked to seen this episode being 4 more minutes, in which case she loses both of her astronaut shoes and both of her feet, and then finally makes it back into the ship.
Jesus.
But that's how I like to write my characters. I like to really,
Really
put
fuck
them
'em
through
up.
the ringer.
the sadism here.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Learned a little bit about Russell tonight.
Yeah. Don't let him write you a story. He won't like your ending.
No. You know, you think I would have picked up on that from the D&D we did with him.
Yeah.
So yeah, she like throws her arm out into space, and that like really fucked with me because like as Sarah said, she was in the other room doing hair, and all she heard was just me going, oh God, no. Because I'm watching this, and it really fucked with me because it's like I really related to the character in the moment and all the different stages she was going through, and it was just like really crazy to me.
Right.
Because it was like I just felt all of it with her, and I felt all these emotions, especially watching it by myself.
I felt for her too. I watched it by myself, and I went from a laying to a sitting position on this episode. Actually,
I wanted to throw up.
Yeah, probably not the best episode to have you introduced on.
Yeah.
But I had to explain why I was reacting the way I was, and I was like, listen, you just have
Especially
to watch it.
Since I hadn't seen the animation yet and how real it looked.
Yeah.
That really fucked with me.
that would be like, I don't know, making someone watch the first episode of Black Mirror first.
Yeah, we're watching
We
it
still
last,
haven't
and
got
I'm
to that
not
one
excited for that
Oh.
one yet.
We're going to have to finish on that because for whatever
Easily
reason.
the most fucked up episode of Black Mirror is the first episode.
Like, they're not... None of them are great, but...
Oh no, they're all fantastic.
I meant
well,
just,
most
like...
of 'em.
Yeah, they're great, but, like, they're still not, like...
Yeah, a lot of them are fucked.
They
but
fuck with you.
the first episode.
What's really crazy is, so we've been tangent, but it's somewhat related because Black Mirror is also a Netflix show. And my
It's
point is...
amazing.
And an anthology.
Yeah, and an anthology,
Mhm.
also related. And they presented it to us in a messed up order. So we've been watching it from season 5 back.
Yeah.
Rather than the traditional senses of you start at season 1 and work your way up.
Yeah.
We started at season 5 and have been working our way back to season 1, episode
And
1.
we catch so much shit in the...
There are so many Easter eggs and
Yeah.
references to stuff that happens in future episodes.
Yeah.
In that show. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Theoretically, nothing's confirmed, is that it all takes place in the same universe.
Some of them absolutely 100%
Yeah.
do
Mhm.
because there are confirmed items and stuff that happens between episodes.
Right.
Like the Death Museum or whatever.
Yeah, like there's the one episode that like it has an item from one of the other episodes that was used to kill somebody.
But, like, season 5, though. Like,
Yeah.
the end of the series.
And welcome to Drafty Quarters Podcast Network's
Mirror.
Black Mirror.
Yeah.
Discussion. We should
I
probably
would-
get back to this
I would get
episode.
on it.
Helping Hand.
Mm-hmm.
Which was also really gruesome and fucked up in its own way. It made me feel a lot of things. And that's why I had to have you watch it first, was so you could understand why I was reacting the way I was and why it was all fucked up.
I should have been, like, warmed up a little.
Maybe. But you did go on to watch the rest of it with me that same day.
So what you're saying is...
I needed a little foreplay. Yeah, honestly. Just fucking went in raw, and I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, that's fair.
All right, and that's Helping Hand, guys. Bye.
Sarah's out.
I'm embarrassed.
But I really liked how there was the depiction of like corporations and how this wasn't like a government-based thing. This is very much a corporate thing, which is why she was just out there by herself.
Right.
And why she probably didn't necessarily follow standards and didn't tether herself
procedures.
off. And
Yeah, actually, so one of the things I was going to bring up is this is like lockout, tagout. She should have followed her
OSHA guidelines.
OSHA guidelines, which I
she
assume
probably did not.
wrote her guidelines, and she didn't. So she stuck her hand in the machine, didn't think it'd power on, and
Fucking lost her arm.
lost it.
Yeah, I definitely thought, like, I was watching it, I was like, oh yeah, I've seen shit like that go on at work before.
Yeah, and specifically, I don't think we've mentioned it yet, but specifically the guideline that she didn't follow is tethering herself to the satellite as soon as she could get a hold of it.
Which is something that takes place in a real life work environment in a factory. Anytime you go up off the ground, elevated position, you should probably be tethered off.
Yeah, tethered in case you fall,
Yep, with a safety harness.
or in case someone comes along and knocks you off. Or listen, we're glad you survived, but maybe you'll do better next time.
Follow your OSHA standards.
Yeah, follow your.
And
OSHA
you know
standards.
what? Fuck this company for putting her in a position where she feels like she shouldn't follow her OSHA standards.
Yeah, let's mention that. There's a little flash on the dashboard that says overtime unauthorized.
Yeah.
But she's still being pressured to get it done.
Which she was, she was in space for 15 minutes because 15 minutes was the countdown on her suit.
Right.
So she was maybe out there for a couple minutes longer than what it would have taken to fix the thing.
Right.
The satellite or whatever it was she was working on. But, like, what kind of shithole company doesn't allow her a couple extra minutes dealing in a very high-risk situation?
Right. And if it's unauthorized,
Like, she's
probably not getting paid for
she
it.
wouldn't have gotten paid for it. That's why it was giving her that warning, unauthorized overtime.
Yeah. So I assume she's going to get back and have a hefty lawsuit.
I would hope so, for her sake.
But maybe not, because she didn't follow her OSHA standards.
That's
So
what
there you
they're
go.
gonna say.
If you work in a factory, lock it out, tag it out.
Yep. Even if it takes a little bit longer. Fuck it.
Yep.
Safety's number one priority.
Save your hands.
That's all I've got on this one. Sarah's gone.
Yeah. She peaced out. She embarrassed herself.
I don't know
That's
why.
good.
She said way worse on other episodes.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm good if you're good.
Let's move on to the next one.
Good hunting.
So that was Good Hunting. One of my top 5 favorite episodes.
Mine too.
I really like this episode.
Yeah, I really like this episode too.
The one thing I will say against it is it does kind of feed into what we've been talking about all night with the hyper violence against women and the hypersexualization of women and all that stuff. It does kind of feed into that a little bit.
There were 2 penises.
There were also equal male nudity.
Yeah.
And they were just as sexualized as the women were, I feel.
Very much so.
Yeah. Were they both erect penises?
Both of the
Maybe.
guys were
We
like
don't really know that the first one was.
moving
He could have
around
just been
a
laying
lot.
on his back
Oh,
and have
okay.
it
And
flopped
just
up.
flopped up.
Yeah.
But he was definitely calling out her name, which leads me to believe it was erect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because he was in the throes of passion of trying to get to his mistress
Like
or
a
whatever.
succubus or whatever they're called.
But I really like these spirits. The spirits in the Japanese. That, like the fox with the 9 tails. I think it's really cool.
Kitsunes?
Chinese,
What did I call them?
Japanese.
Shane corrected me. They're not Japanese. They're Chinese.
Chinese. Are the spirits kitsunes?
No, it had a name.
Jian Yao or something like that?
Oh.
Yeah, they called him out in the episode by name, but I don't remember what it was, and I don't
Okay.
want to attempt to butcher it.
Like I just did.
Yeah, I mean there was definitely like so there was some gratuitous violence toward her. I don't know. I wouldn't say it was out of place though.
No.
Kind
Arguably
of was,
one of the dangers of going into prostitution,
Yeah, I mean,
getting sold or being
yeah.
You never
locked
know
into
what
as a
you're
sex
gonna.
slave.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, one of my fears of being a prostitute would be being drugged and turned into like a robot. But no, I mean legitimately, it does showcase a lot. It showcases racism.
Yep.
From the time, Chinese
C-word.
people, Chinese people moving into Europe to try to find, work outside of.
He didn't go into Europe. He just went into Hong Kong. That was the British
did he?
invasion of Hong Kong.
Yeah, it was Hong Kong.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, okay. Well, that's more fucked than I thought it was.
Yeah, no. So that's actually like a real thing that happened. Like
Right,
England
okay.
controlled Hong Kong for like the longest time, and it wasn't until like modern history that they finally gave it back to China.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like it's been within like the past few decades that they just gave it back
Holy fuck.
because England was one of those countries that tried to rule the world,
Right.
and yeah, they owned Hong Kong at one point.
So, yeah, so showcases a lot, right? We have the racism, the dangers of prostitution. It starts out with how easy it is to get information wrong.
Yeah.
So with the hunters hunting the spirits because the spirits are malicious and manipulating the men, and it's actually just
The other way
the
around.
men are so passionate about the women.
Yep.
Which is also interesting.
They seem to be under their spell when it's really their own doing.
Right,
Yeah.
and the spirits blame the humans just as much as the humans blame
They're like,
the
don't fall in
spirits."
love with us, duh.
Yeah.
And
Sorry, I'm irresistible.
They were just as tortured by it as this guy allegedly was. So the way they were portraying it from the human side was that she bewitched him and had him under this trance, under this spell. But then the way the spirits from their side of it, it's like, well, he fell in love with her. And
She
then
was
when a
just going
guy
to
falls
shut
in
him
love
up.
with the spirit, we can hear him no matter the distance.
Yeah.
And she's like, so in order to get him to shut up so I can get some fucking sleep, I would have to
gotta
go
service
visit him
him,
every
yeah.
night.
Which is weird.
Yeah. I mean, I'm paraphrasing a lot of that, obviously. But
Yeah, well, no, I mean that's what it was though. Like, but relate
Just ask
that,
Cassie.
yeah, relate that to that. Like, I feel like there's a parallel there if you relate it to the hounding of women for sex. Like she's just appeasing him to get him to shut up,
yeah.
and she doesn't want to, but she's tortured by his cries in the night.
Yep.
And she only does it to stop having to
Get some
listen to
fucking
him.
peace and quiet.
It's
So,
very
like,
interesting.
Yeah, that I thought was interesting. As we move further along into the show, or into this episode, there's also a lot of subtext with the two of them, and like it feels like
an
it's gonna
implied relationship,
Yeah,
but not
like-
really.
implied romance, but it ends up being like platonic, I guess,
Mhm.
or
Yeah.
like they just don't end up together, which at the beginning it very much feels like they're gonna end up being a thing, and then it
Mhm.
grows
Yeah.
into this platonic situation.
Yeah, especially when he's like, I'm going to leave. What are you going to do?
Yeah. So it
And then she's like, I don't know. I'll make it myself, bitch.
And it like starts with him ogling her when she
Mhm.
turns into a human.
yeah.
yeah.
Or her human form, rather.
I mean, she's standing there naked. What guy's not going to?
And she's like, I see the way you look at me. And then she just relates that back to the story she's telling of this other guy that's crying out for her mother.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I think that's weird, and that's really the only thing I don't like about it,
Is
is
it
how
shows,
heavily
like,
it's implied that they're going to be a romantic couple.
I'm okay with it.
To not be a romantic couple,
I don't
just
need-
don't think they should have implied it.
I don't need them to be a couple for them to be together. Even if they were maybe had some kind of fling when they were younger and then they grew apart,
Yeah, I mean it's also a limited amount of time to tell the story
Sure.
in. So
Yeah.
But I'm totally fine with just having
They're just biffles.
platonic, male and female friends.
yeah, it's the implication that
That
I think
bothers
they
you.
could have gone without.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could agree with that. I find it interesting, and I really like how they rapidly advance technology throughout the episode.
Yeah, like in 5
so
years
it starts
they had
out
trains.
in like I don't know, feudal's not the right word, but like ancient China,
Yeah.
where they're in huts and villages, and he has a katana, and it's very much like ancient China. And then it very quickly evolves into trains, which is still believable because it's like, okay, yeah, when the English come in, they bring the trains and stuff, but then it just like goes off the rails.
Yeah.
When they start going into the steampunk stuff, which is when the episode really started to get interesting for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I really liked the automatons, and especially when he started to make the rabbit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's my favorite
That
part,
I
too.
love that rabbit, and then what he does with her at the end is just
Yeah.
fascinating for me, and I love that.
Yeah. We don't have enough steampunk.
We really don't.
in our television movie
Mm-mm.
media.
There aren't a whole lot of steampunk properties.
It was
I feel
tastefully
like
done.
it's a genre that's talked about a lot, and I know there for a while it was like heavily cosplayed. Like I felt like I saw steampunk cosplay all over the place.
Yeah.
Like early 2000s, too, the music videos.
Yeah,
Like
but
Hailstorm, that one that I really like, Shatter Me.
I don't feel like that wasn't early 2000s. It was like
Mid 2000s?
2010. That was like after we got out of high school, probably.
Okay. I believe you.
But yeah, I just feel like I haven't seen a whole lot of steampunk properties. I
Yeah.
can't think of any offhand that are.
Wild Wild West.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I actually really liked Wild Wild West, even though a lot
I
of
did
people
too.
don't. I really liked that movie.
But as far as like live action, there's not.
There's like some kind of pilot in the Land of Tomorrow or something.
Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow,
That one's steampunky,
which is
isn't it?
sort of. It's more noir, like
Yeah,
pulp war, 1940s type thing.
yeah.
I don't know that I'd say it's steampunk.
I don't remember enough of that movie to. I just remember like some of the stuff was kind of steampunky.
Yeah.
But I really like the clockwork stuff, clockwork and
Yes.
steampunk, and I especially like when that crosses over into like a fantasy setting.
Mm-hmm.
That's always interesting to me. So
Yeah.
even like there's a lot of like D&D and other fantasy properties where sometimes they'll sprinkle in a little steampunk or clockwork machines in a specific city setting, and I always like that.
Yeah, there's some Doctor Who episodes that take place with like some heavy clockwork and steampunk stuff,
I haven't seen
Props.
any Doctor Who.
because props are items.
This had a story.
It did. It was an origin story too.
Yeah,
Like it was one fucking hell of an origin story.
it was really good.
I hope there's a part 2 and season 2 of Love, Death, and
It
Robots.
did get picked up for season 2.
Yeah, I'm hoping some of these episodes get
Sequels.
sequels.
That would be cool. I doubt it'll happen, but that would be cool.
Especially The Witness.
Russell's favorite episode.
11
On
more
record.
minutes of
And
them
I swear to
chasing
God,
each
if
other.
it's just him chasing her this entire, or
Yep.
her chasing him the entire time,
Yep.
I'm fucking pissed. I'm writing in.
Just listen to us. We did a
To
great
Netflix.
ending to that
Yeah.
one.
I'm gonna be like, yo, you need better writers. I got a whole team.
Mm-hmm. We gotcha.
But yeah, I really like the steampunk stuff. We definitely need more of that, and more stuff like this, because I really like this episode all around. Like I like the story. I like the platonic relationship they have.
Yeah,
I like pretty much everything about this. The animation was great. The only part I didn't like about the animation is just the silliest, goofiest nitpick ever. I didn't like the way the noses looked when they looked at
Yeah.
the screen head on.
They're weird looking.
Did you notice it?
I didn't notice.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
got some weird
So the
noses.
first time I watched it, I was like, "Oh, okay, she's a weird spirit because she's got like a gill nose thing." Because I thought her nose looked like gills, and then she turned and it's like, "Oh, well, that's just a normal nose." And then like later on, they show the guy and he's got the same kind of fucking nose. It's like, "Oh, that's just how they draw noses face on."
Yeah, some people can't draw hands,
But
some people
it's
can't
like-
draw noses.
It's got this weird effect when they look like straight into the camera, and it's
It's very
just
angular.
weird. Yeah, and
Huh.
because it's like a shape. I'm going to draw a picture here for our audio podcast. And then
So
like
Corey
that.
has a pen. He drew a couple of U's. He drew
Basically.
a large U with a smaller U inside of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's
But
like
it's
a
more
U,
like
Now
and
I drew a
then
V.
V, yeah. It's
Yeah.
more of like a V.
It's
and
more
that
like that.
V has wings.
Kind
Yeah.
of.
That's how they draw the noses in the show when you look at them head on. From the side, they look good. They look fine from any other angle, but when they look like straight into the camera,
Yeah.
they look like this.
They're
and
weird.
on the face of the rest of the character, it almost looks like gills or some shit.
Yeah, it's weird.
And I just it's the silliest fucking nitpick, I know, but that's my one gripe about the animation style. Is I
Same.
didn't like the way they handled noses, but I don't know how they could have handled it better. So keep doing what you're doing, I guess.
We'll just bitch about it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna bitch about it. That's what all these podcasts are about, anyway. Is just us bitching.
Yeah.
Especially the
Yeah.
DQP Does guys. Have you ever heard any of their podcasts?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like an hour and a half of them bitching about a movie, and then they end the show with like 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
Loved it. Best
Yeah.
movie ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, those fucking guys, man.
Weird.
Tell you what.
Yeah.
I think it was a great episode, and it's easily one of my top 5 favorites.
Yes, this is probably my 5th.
I don't. Yeah. So
I
I
also
just say-
realized we're not watching my favorite episode, and I'm kind of upset about it. By the way, Corey.
Which
We
one's
can
your
watch it
favorite one?
after it.
Zima
fuck.
Blue.
Yeah, Zima Blue.
Zima with a Z.
Zima Blue.
It's a really good episode.
That's my favorite episode.
And I wanted you to be on that episode, and you might still be on that one. That was
I
the
mean,
one
we'll
we
see.
were gonna get the other people that we
Yeah.
might have scheduling conflicts with.
We'll see what happens with the other episodes parts. If anything, me and Shane come into it. We'll make it DQP Does Love, Death, and Robots.
Yeah. You haven't been on some of these more recent ones, Sarah, but the past few Drafty Tunes we've recorded, it's been
DQP does.
attempted to be a DQP Does takeover and
Choo choo.
fuck Drafty Tunes, and they're just trying to
I mean, I can sit
undermine
it
and
out
get rid of my show.
if you want me to, and just you and Shane can do it, and we can call the episode Drafty Tunes and Dick Queefs.
DTDQ.
I think he hates me.
It's okay.
I hope we're still friends.
It's fine.
All right, we're good with this episode.
Yeah, that's all we got.
All
Let's
right.
move on to the last one.
2 thumbs. Way up.
Lucky 13.
We watched Lucky 13. Another great episode.
I think that's my favorite one.
A little bit closer.
Lucky 13 is my third.
It's your third favorite?
Yep.
It's really good. I don't know if it's top 3 for me in the series, but it's definitely definitely up there. It's one of the good ones. One of the ones I really like.
Zima Blue, and then Beyond the Aquila Rift, and then
That one's a good one, too.
That one might be my
This
favorite one. Beyond the Aquila Rift.
yeah.
That is a good one, too.
It was also the first one I watched. So it really kind of set the tone for the whole series for me.
Yeah.
But we're not talking about that. We're talking about Lucky 13, which great episode.
But my favorite part is that all of the art pieces are sorry.
All
Lucky
the
13.
props are actually props.
All the props are actually props.
And this one has a story.
Oh, such a story.
It's a great story. And I love the and I can never get over the hyper realistic the animation is. Hyper realism, because it looks just like the actor.
Yeah. Samira Wiley.
Yeah.
Who I would say is a very strong, very respectable female lead.
Hell yeah.
Who is not sexualized even in the slightest
No.
in this episode.
She's
Not-
a badass bitch,
not
and
at all.
everybody knows it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I fucking love this.
One of my
So
favorite
good.
quotes was Pugger Factor 10.
I'm shitting diamonds.
Yeah. Oh,
This is good
that one
stuff.
got me. But like also the sentient ship, like it learned.
Well, it's implied.
Yeah.
Which is one of the things I actually really like about the episode is the characterization of the ship itself.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
They portray the ship as a character, but they never explicitly say the ship is sentient.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's implied throughout the episode.
You can look at it one of two ways.
Hit me.
You can assume the other pilots who crewed the ship before just weren't
worthy.
weren't as good a pilots as she is, and that her skill is what allowed her to do all of the things that she did.
Skilled with a lot of luck.
Yeah. Or my preferred, and sounds like also your preferred way of watching the episode is that the ship has some sort of bond with her specifically.
Yeah.
That
Like it has an AI or something in it.
yeah, that wants her to survive.
Yeah.
You know, wants to. And it's more of a symbiotic relationship between her and the ship.
Especially when she goes to like detonate it and like blow it up and shit, and
Mhm.
it waits until
Yeah.
it's completely covered.
It
in
waits
the enemy.
until all the men come
Yeah.
around.
Yeah.
There's also a split second before that, where which for me, it leads away from the ship has sentience more towards either the ship is supernatural and or she is just very lucky.
Mm-hmm.
When she is trying to get out of her seat and she gets caught.
Right.
I don't care how sentient the ship is, it's not going to be able to catch her like that.
Right.
And then a split second later, where she would have landed had she had been able to be free, the bomb blows up that part of the ship.
Yeah.
And then it cuts loose and lets her go. So I think you could definitely argue a little bit of both. When I watch it, I kind of want to attribute that towards the ship trying to help her.
Yeah.
But I would also lean towards maybe that's a supernatural thing, or maybe she's just really lucky. What are you doing over there?
Crumbling paper. If you'll recall, one of the earlier episodes of DQP Does actually has a moment where Cory, you were crumbling a bag of chips.
Yep. And then I hear you say, "Sorry."
It wasn't just a bag
So
of chips.
those
actually.
without sin cast the first stone.
It was a
A
sandwich
sandwich.
wrapper.
And a bag of chips.
And I was trying to fold up the sandwich wrapper to throw it away. And that's what happened. That was a rather early episode of DQP.
That's a good
Does.
moment. You can go back and listen to DQP Does Iron Man 2. And
Which it was largely edited out of that episode. It was way worse when we were recording.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah. I took a lot of it out.
But like 6 other mics picked it up, so good job.
Yeah, it was real bad.
But I like that she stayed to fight and help while that other dude was like, "I'm fucking out of here," and then gets blown to shit.
Oh, the other pilot?
She's like, "What are you doing? You still have people on the ground." And he's
Yeah,
like,
he just
"I'm
completely abandons
Yeah.
the people he dropped in. Yeah.
She not only saved her own people, but his people too. So
What was left of him,
Yeah.
yeah. Like,
The
it
vigilant
definitely,
thing.
she had a lot of heroism.
Yeah.
In that she definitely stayed behind and was the brave one.
And like she said, she's like, "I was at the front," and she's like, "That's most of the time the people that don't come back," and she did it without hesitation.
Yeah. Or at the very least, she tried not to think about it.
Yeah.
Like, she's like, yeah, I guess I got to do it, but,
just
like, I
gotta
don't have
do what
much
I gotta
choice
do.
because she's
Yeah.
the Rook. And Rookie has to do. That's why she got the ship
All
in the first
shitty
place.
jobs.
Yeah, because she was Rookie. And then it ended up being the best thing for her. Yeah, I like this episode. It's a really good one. So do you think, then, for Russell, you said your preferred method of watching was the ship is sentient?
I mean, I not necessarily sentient, just as much as there is a certain maybe supernatural spirit
Spirit to it.
attached to the ship. I like that idea because that does. I like that better than like just there's sentient AI attached
Yeah.
to the ship. I like it being some sort
More
of supernatural. Yeah.
with luck and probability and all that. What about you, Sarah? What's your preferred method?
I like the smart ship situation.
Like it's an actual computer being that's like controlling the ship and has
like a smart house type of thing, but a
Yeah.
smart ship. Yeah.
the AI. I tend to lean towards the supernatural a bit.
Like it's like a dead pilot or something.
Maybe, or maybe it's just the spirit of the ship itself.
Yeah, it's more like, you ever just had a pair of shoes that just like fits right, and like no matter what pair of shoes you have after that, you'll always think back and be like, yeah, these shoes are cool, but they're not, those shoes.
Yeah.
Kind of more like that kind of thing.
Or anytime you give like sentience to an inanimate object. Like I've definitely had stuff where I've like talked to it and like treated it as if it had sentience, and it's just an object that I use a lot or whatever.
Yeah, I mean that's really weird, man. I mean, who would just talk to an object?
Sounds like I'm talking about like a sex doll, but I'm not. Like more realistically, or more.
All right, man.
in the
It's time
vein
to
of
just
stuff.
tell her. Look, he stores it here,
Mhm.
and he comes over here sometimes at like 1 a.m.
Russell.
and like gets it,
So you're not going to the bathroom.
and then he brings it
Russell.
back.
What do you? Why?
Hmm.
Why are you trying to ruin my marriage on this podcast?
I'm not. I'm this. All right, psych. This isn't actually a podcast. It's
This is an
counseling
intervention?
time. It's intervention time.
God damn it!
Did you not see the banner, dude? Come on.
Damn it!
You showed up 5 times last week.
I've got a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've got a problem.
Do you at
And
least
what
wash
did you
her out
name her?
before you
Susan?
put her away?
Listen, we're not gonna get into that.
Susan, that's a terrible
No, he doesn't
name.
wash it. He brings it back and he hands it to me, and it drips all over the floor.
Do you know how he
And then
knows I don't
Nathan's
watch
like,
it?
"What
Because
is
he
that?"
uses it next.
Your tunnel
Aw.
buddies.
That was a little far.
That was too far.
That's where he draws the line. At
That's
his
where he
expense.
draws the line. Would you draw him in it?
He's
Nope,
done.
nope. That's too
Too
much.
far. Too far, sir.
Look, Corey, I'm not double cream pieing a blow up doll with you.
They're Eskimo brothers on a sex
Not
doll.
about the sloppy seconds.
Sometimes he
Shane was
goes
like-
first.
Shane threw his arms out and he's like, "You're doing a fucking podcast." He didn't say it, but that's what I heard from his gesture.
Yeah, he was definitely like, what?
It's okay. It goes well with the other moment that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, we're not talking about it again.
So, yeah, I mean, I really like this episode.
great.
I as much as I like this episode, I honestly don't have a whole lot to talk about with this episode because, like,
They
It's-
covered everything.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like there's a ship.
There's not much
The ship's
critiquing.
supernatural, or it's not, or
Yeah.
she's really lucky. Like you don't really know.
Yeah.
And then like she's a badass
Pilot.
female lead character, and that.
What I was gonna liken it to is like people that talk to their cars
Mm.
and treat their car as if the car is
And
a
you
person.
name it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you name it, and then you come out, and when it doesn't run well, you treat it like it's sick or whatever. I've never really been one of those guys, but like when I was a kid, I would talk to my stuffed animals and all kinds of stuff. So I can definitely relate to the treating an inanimate object as if it has sentience. Why are you distracted right now?
Just there's Cassie on the couch. I'm just looking at her. Sorry.
Sarah, now's not the time to confess your undying love for your co.
Yeah, the real joke is like I'm coming over here at 1 a.m. for the doll, but she's coming over at 2 for Cassie.
Why? Thank you. Yes. Much love.
Huh.
That's where I draw the line.
When I bring you in on it,
Yes.
yeah, nice.
It's not funny anymore.
I mean, it was kind of funny.
It was kind of funny. Yeah.
But I was going to say one of the reasons I think I particularly really like this episode is it reminds me a lot of World War Z. There is a specific section in World War Z where there's a pilot that goes down over like this swamp territory.
Mm-hmm.
And throughout the whole story, she's like talking on the radio to this other pilot that is just in a ranger shack somewhere. And this other pilot is like talking her through surviving in this bayou or swamp area and talking her and telling her how to get to safety. And then by the end of this section of World War Z, you come to find out that that pilot doesn't exist. Her radio doesn't work.
What?
And it was like either all in her head the whole time, or it was like some kind of supernatural force helping her.
That's fucking crazy.
Did you read World War Z?
I didn't read all of it.
Oh, okay.
The writing is really weird. Like,
So-
I don't...
Here's how I recommend you consume World War Z. This is now branching into Drafty Toons does World War Z.
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome. Consume World War Z through the audiobook.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I feel like that would be a better medium.
It is hands down the best audiobook I've ever listened to. And I can wholeheartedly say that because it doesn't play out like an audiobook.
Mm-hmm.
It's a radio play.
Right.
Because every character is voice acted by a different person.
Different. Oh, shit. That's fucking cool.
Yeah. So it's not just one person reading the book to you, as are most audiobooks. Each character is individually voice acted by a different actor, and they get fantastic voice actors. Mark Hamill does one of the main characters in the audiobook.
What the fuck?
Yeah, he does the voice of this like gruff sergeant type character in the book.
Okay.
The one that like talks about Yonkers and all that. Did you get to that part?
I don't remember. It's been a while.
Yeah.
When it first came out, I tried to read it.
Oh,
And I read maybe a third of it. And I was just like, I can't fucking do this anymore.
Listen to the audiobooks. Fantastic. And you get like all the little short stories and the little vignettes or whatever they're called. I fucking love them.
Yeah.
Which I guess really ties in with this because it's more short stories. And if anything, we're learning that I just like short stories. I didn't think I liked them as much as I do, but that's what I just keep coming back to
Sounds
is
like-
that I just really like short form
Sounds
stories.
like you're a huge fan of short form stories.
Yep.
And blow up dolls.
So yeah,
All right,
let's
Lucky 13. Great.
it was a great show. How did you guys feel about the series? That's how we ended the last group. Did you like the series overall? I realize you guys have all seen the whole thing. I know the last guys were saying that they were definitely looking forward to seeing the other episodes that they hadn't experienced yet.
Mm-hmm.
But you guys can speak from a perspective of you've actually seen everything. Do you like it? Would you recommend it? Do you think it's...
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You like it a lot?
I do.
How about you?
The series as a whole, yes. I don't know. The stories are too short. Like
Too short.
yeah.
Okay.
Like I want more. There's so many of them that I want more of.
Yeah. And that's the way I felt when it was done. I was like, oh, shit, that's it. That's all we get.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this should have been this should be like Netflix airing pilot episodes
That's
to see
exactly what I
which
was
ones
gonna
are
say.
streamed the most
Yeah.
and then turning them into series.
Yep.
That's what I would love for this to turn into. Because
Okay.
there's quite a few worlds that I feel like they could expand on. Even if it was just 10 episodes, like do single shot seasons. Just
Yeah.
one season. Like give me one season of the Suits.
Yeah.
Right, and then there's quite a few other episodes that I would love
I could see that.
more of.
My concern would be that it wouldn't be as good
Wouldn't be as meaningful because
Yeah.
they have so much time to do
because
stuff.
you would have too much time and like too much of a good thing, and it would lose some of the meaning. I think a lot of them work, and a lot of them are really good based on the fact that they are so short. And I think if you expand too much into it,
I only think there's like 2 or 3 of them that could carry a series.
carry a series.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, yeah, that's fair. There's a lot of worlds I would definitely like to revisit, even if we just explored them through the eyes of different characters and different stories.
I mean, that's okay too. Yeah, give me part 2s. Give me part 2s that I have to figure out their part 2s. Like you
Yeah,
don't have
I
to
like that
call it
better. Don't call it a sequel.
Sunny's Edge Part
just
2.
Do it in the same world and then have an homage. Like we were talking about Black Mirror earlier.
Yeah.
Like there isn't. I mean, there's some technology that connects the two, and then you
Right.
have a couple like actual items or props that stick out and connect episodes together. And that's enough. Like I would be happy if they just connected a few things back to season 1 just purely through maybe a throwaway line or something.
I also feel like they could have added 10 to 15 minutes to all these episodes. So I would like season 2 to come out as 30-minute episodes. Because just doubling up the length of the episode, you could do a lot with. Like, you could make some of these, like, they're already fairly rewatchable, but, like...
Yeah, some of them could stand to be a little longer. I
Yeah.
could do with, like, maybe 1 or 2 45-minute episodes.
Yeah.
Maybe even one that's just, like, a full hour and a half.
Yeah.
They don't all have to be that way. Maybe keep a few that are just 10, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Because I like some of them that are shorter. But, like, fuck it. Just let them be
But-
all over the place.
I mean, you could write these stories, because like I said, a couple of them really suffer from being as short as they are, and you
Yeah.
could write these stories in either sitcom or not even necessarily sitcom, like the sitcom's 22, 23 minutes, but the 30-minute episode thing that people do now, where it's 10 episodes, 30 episode, or 30-minute episodes,
Right.
and like the format's totally different than like sitcom. So you can have some that are, you know, if it's like a big comedy thing, you can write it in a sitcom format and get 22, 23 minutes out of it. And then if you're going to have like a drama, you can write it as 30-minute to 45 minutes. And then there are definitely a couple of these that I could have seen being, you know, feature-length films.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Specifically, I would have liked to have seen more in Beyond the Aquila Rift. I feel like that could have been expanded to be a feature.
Same way with Sunny.
You think Sunny's
Yeah.
Edge could have been a movie?
Sunny's Edge could be hour and a half movie.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Like, show the whole backstory of, like, why she is the way she is, and maybe, like, drop hints about her being connected to the
Yeah.
monster.
Yeah. Go ahead and give us the reveal in the first 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, even. And then, like, that whole section is just the opening scene. Let's see what happens afterwards.
Yeah.
Like, now she's just the monster.
Interesting.
And her friends are going to still let her fight and put her in fights. Let's see what happens there. Like,
Gotta
how
find
high,
her a new body.
Yeah. How far up to the top can she get?
Consequences.
Can she
of-
become world champion?
of not having a body or having to deal with just being in the monster now?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, does she eventually lose herself?
Yeah, some of those I think there are very interesting ideas that they could expand upon.
I mean, 3 robots even. I mean,
Yeah.
that whole bit is just for a joke that cats took over the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, but there's actually some good stuff there that
Yeah.
that they could world build and turn into a 30-minute, 45-minute episode.
Yeah, maybe have them go to other cities or other parts or whatever.
Yeah.
That'd be really good. All in all, I highly recommend everybody watches this series.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Watch every episode, even the ones we hate.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Because you might like them.
You might like them, or if nothing else, it
You'll
gives
at
you a
least
better appreciation
Agree
for the
with
ones
us
you like.
why we hate them.
Yeah.
And I definitely think this whole series is worth watching. And I don't
And-
necessarily agree with all the criticism that it's getting.
No,
Some
I
of
don't.
it is kind of valid on particular episodes, but as a
Right.
whole, I think this series is really good and really progressive. And
Yeah.
I definitely thought that the first time I watched it.
Yeah.
Granted,
And as a female, like, I don't get offended easily, but, like, I was never even kind of, like, put off by, like, the nudity or anything. I was
Yeah.
just like, oh, that's happening. Okay.
which is one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on here. Not because you had that opinion, but because I was curious to hear what your opinion would be.
Yeah, like,
I didn't know if you would
they're
feel the
boobs.
same way
We all have boobs.
about the gratuitous nudity or have any of the same gripes that this article might.
I mean, like, it's not just this show that does that. Like, sex sells. Everybody knows that. Like, it's used in everything. So,
Sure.
like, it's just shit that we're used to now. So, like, I didn't find it, like, any more so than some of the other shows that I've watched.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Anything on HBO.
Yeah.
Arguably, each one of these episodes has a better ending than Game of Thrones.
Fuck yes.
Russell disagrees with that point because he actually likes season 8. But
Arguably, half of these episodes have a better ending
okay,
than Game of Thrones. And yes, I did actually enjoy most of season 8. John's still alive, and I'm kind of upset about that. But
that's another podcast.
whatever, he got the ending he deserved.
Not the ending we wanted.
Fucking
Yep.
sent back to the wall.
Well,
Just
I
trying to
mean,
make a Batman quote.
so he can go with Giant Spain back to the north.
So, all in all, we all liked the episode. I would recommend. I mean, you have Netflix already, but if you don't,
Then
what
you're
are you
a fucking
doing?
liar.
Get Netflix.
Borrow someone else's.
Like, get Netflix. Watch Netflix. There's a lot of good stuff on Netflix. A lot of good original content coming from Netflix lately.
Yes.
As
And we
latest.
talked about, at least 3 different series from Netflix on this
Yes.
podcast.
Give Netflix your money so they can take your money and make more original content.
Yes.
It's really good.
Like season 2 of this show.
Yes.
Which has been greenlit.
Mm-hmm.
They are working on it. Hopefully it's
I'm
just as
super
good
excited.
as season 1. And so if everybody's any closing thoughts on the series as a whole, any last words?
Go watch it.
Go
watch
watch
it. It's really good. Get you some Netflix if you don't have it already.
Yep.
This is all prime animation.
It's really, really, really good animation.
And it
Like
all
they're
looks real good.
super realistic in some episodes.
Don't let your kids watch it.
No.
Any of them. Even if they look kid-friendly, don't let your kids watch it.
Or, let your kids watch it.
You're their parent. Let them do what they
yeah, I
want.
guess. But be warned. Be warned, it might not be child appropriate. I'm not here to parent your kids. You are.
But yeah.
So if nobody else has anything else, I'm going to stop meandering. And that's all, folks.
And we're rolling.
They hate it.
I liked it. Yeah,
There was a large explosion here.
I heard it.
Yeah.
Hopefully it wasn't my doll.
I just assume, Cassie fell or hit a car.
Ouch. Luckily, I don't think she heard that.
I don't think so either. I'm, right up on the mic, so I usually talk in, a low whisper.
Yeah. And we all know she's not going to listen to this podcast.
Yeah.
She might since I'm on it.
No, she's not going to listen to
Aw,
this.
Sarah.
It's cute that you think that, but she's not going to listen to this. Aggressively flipping paper.
Say some more. Bitch.